Hey, Peter.
Hey, Adam.
So today,
Yes.
we're talking about problem solving.
Problem solving. I got a solution for that.
What is that?
Etudes.
Hey. Tunes. Hey, Tunes.
Etudes.
Just talk through the intro. Keep talking. Got a problem solver for that, Peter? I'm Adam Ennis.
I'm Peter Martin.
You listen to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily music advice.
Coming at you. You okay? We need an etude for how to start this episode. Okay. What's wrong?
I said daily. I said daily.
Music advice coming at you?
That's not correct.
What is it?
Music advice coming at you.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Hey, Peter.
Hey.
You know what we're talking about today?
I'm going to make a suggestion that we talk a little bit about this. Is that cool?
It's going to have to be.
Okay.
I'm Adam Ennis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music advice coming at you.
Coming at you today, sponsored by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for a deeper dive on all the things we're talking about
Oh,
today.
it's back.
Yeah, it's back.
I love it. I love it. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good to see you.
Yeah, this one.
Full disclosure, we've had a couple miscues.
We've had a few drinks, folks.
We probably, that would have helped us. But no, we've had a few miscues. But this is always an important part of the creative process, right? And for those of you that weren't here in the studio, which is everybody except for producer Caleb. Big shout out to producer Caleb. Please like and subscribe to this if you want to see producer Caleb Cam come back.
We do
Caleb
need
Cam.
a producer Caleb
Producer
Cam. We
Cam.
do need to be innovative.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, you know, sometimes we will come up with different subjects for this podcast. Look, we've done over 1,100 episodes at this point. Did you know that?
I know. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
we've done quite a few episodes. So in order to delight and inspire and educate and erudiate? We don't know. It sounds.
Did you make that up just now?
Sounds good. Our dear listeners. To rudiate. For the rudiments of erudiation. You know, it takes a little something. Not much, but we don't always have it, to be honest. We think we do. And so sometimes it's just like when you're working on a solo, you know, like you're playing and you're like, is this a good idea? Nah. Oh, this is good. I'm going to go, nah. Yeah. And then all of a sudden a couple choruses have gone by.
And sometimes you spend a lot of time on
right.
that solo. And you're like, at the end of it, you're like,
So that's kind of what happened today. We've gone through several iterations of this episode. And believe it or not, we've gone all the way from Joe Zawinul all the way to Giant Steps to where we've landed on. But sometimes that's part of the creative process.
Hey,
right?
man, it's just the journey. It's just the journey.
You're going to break a few eggs and make that omelet, baby.
Well, what we were trying to do is problem solve, right? We have an idea, and we're not really sure how to get there. And really, that's what this whole episode is going to be about, is problem solving.
Yeah.
And you might not think of Giant Steps as a problem solving tool,
right?
But it 100% is. So for those of you who don't know, John Coltrane's Giant Steps is kind of like this benchmark that happens for players. Sorry, that's a little bit of weather report here because I'm bringing up Giant Steps. I want to listen to it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a benchmark that happens in a lot of modern players, and we don't need to do video on this at all, but we can just listen to it a little bit to hear how it sounds.
I stiffen up a little bit just hearing it because I'm like, pay attention, be on your A game, right?
So it's from his album Giant Steps. And you might notice that it's got a very jagged sound. Like it sounds, not only is it a fast tempo, but it sounds like it's moving in very giant steps, which it is. And most of our listeners probably know, but if you don't know, what's happening here is it's moving through 3 different keys. And those keys are a major third away from each other, which happens to be symmetrical. So it moves from the key through the keys of B, E flat, and G, right? And so that creates an augmented triad. And if you were to do another major third up from G, you go back to B. So it's this cycle of these 3 keys in major third.
Famously, okay, so hold on a second.
Yeah.
Game changer. I did not know that.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. This is why we do the pod, bro.
Are you? Wait.
No, I didn't know.
You're not kidding.
I know the chords, but I never realized that it was
all major thirds away.
So wait, you're saying it starts in B, right? but then it goes to G. He's so delighted. The delightful look on your face.
I can't believe
Dude, there
it.
is much I don't know.
You didn't know that it's an exercise to get through major thirds in this augmented
No,
triad?
not only did I know it, I still don't understand it. Please educate me.
Damn, this is going to be a great episode. Okay, now
The name of this episode is Adam Reacts to Peter's Ignorance.
Now we've got
New
something.
title, Caleb. Adam Reacts to Peter's Ignorance. No, but I mean, what do you mean? So it starts on B.
What do you mean? What do I mean,
Just
buddy?
teach it to me. Don't make me feel bad about it.
So how does it play the first phrase?
I can play it. Gotcha.
So this is what. So oftentimes, when we teach here at Open Studio, people get really hung up on.
I thought you were gonna say like, this is why oftentimes Adam, take the lead on teaching.
No.
Because I understand this shit.
No, our students at Open Studio can sometimes get hung up on theoretical concepts, and I say like, it doesn't matter. A lot of the greatest players, your favorite players, probably don't think about things in these theoretical terms that you're trying to analyze this in. Like the analysis is just gravy.
But this is interesting, and this is important. I have the feeling.
Well, is it? I've heard you shred on this song, and you didn't know this.
No, but that's also like saying, "Oh, this drummer is so amazing, he can't even read music." It's like, yeah, but it would certainly enhance things if they did. They can still do interesting things.
Okay, well, for those I'm sure everybody does know this, but for those of you who don't know, including my illustrious...
What is the term? I've forgotten more than I've ever learned.
That's right.
You know, maybe it's that kind of thing.
So Giant Steps takes you through 3 different keys, and they're all a major third away from each other. So B, a major third...
So it starts on B.
Yeah.
Got that.
And then it goes straight to G, which is a major third down, and then it goes straight to E flat, which is a major third down.
Oh.
And then if you were to take that even further, you would go another major third down to B. And those are the 3 keys in the entire tune, right?
Oh, so you're talking like 5 to 1, 5 to 1.
Yeah, because it's B, then it's a 5-1 to G, then it's a 5-1 to E flat, and then it's a 2-5-1 to G, 5-1 to E flat, 5-1 to B. And then what happens here? 2-5 to E flat,
Right.
2-5 to G, 2-5 to B, 2-5 to E flat.
So you're saying going down in major thirds.
It goes up and down. It goes up and down.
I just saw the
it just
up, and I
cycles
thought I was
through.
gonna-
Yeah,
okay.
it cycles through in major thirds.
Because I'm seeing that, like, as soon as you said it and I finally kind of got it, it's like, okay.
This is so great, by the way.
B-
I'm loving this so much. Go
You
ahead.
like this content?
Yeah.
Like and subscribe for more content. Okay, so B, I would say now E flat going up, right? So we're starting on B. I'm thinking going up. The next one is going to be E flat, right? Going up in major thirds.
What are you talking about?
You said it's based
From the
upon
beginning.
going down. Yeah, from the beginning.
Well, it cycles around in major thirds. But it goes up and down, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is the way I'm seeing it. Maybe it's another way of going up. So B major, E flat major.
Yeah, but there's a whole key of G in between those two.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to go with the thing. And now we're G major.
Yeah.
Now we're B major.
Yeah, but there's a whole key of E flat between those two. It's
Well,
going
it's just
down.
a different way of looking at it, man.
guess so.
You say potato, I say potato.
You're skipping over an entire key center.
Well, because I was ignorant to this one element, I got to find a more complicated way to look at it.
Okay.
Isn't that what theory is?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you looking at?
Hi, sir. Can we help you?
Yeah, we're doing a,
Yeah, we're recording a podcast.
Right now. Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay.
Just had a little guest here.
That was awesome.
I wonder if he knows that it's in major third. We should have asked him. Hey, do you know that Giant Steps moves around?
Actually, I do know that guy. So
do you know that guy?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. Okay, so got it. So B major,
Yeah.
G major, E flat.
Yeah.
But then how do you, what is this then? G major, E flat, B.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the
good.
same 3 keys.
That's so cool.
B major, G, and E flat. Those are the only keys we're dealing with in Giant Steps.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you also know this happens in Have You Met Miss Jones? The same concept in the bridge.
What you mean?
Right?
Yeah.
So it starts the bridge of Have You Met Miss Jones is the key of F. It goes to the 4 chords,
Yeah.
4 chord in the bridge, B flat,
Goes down
and
to
then
major thirds.
down to major third,
Yes.
2-5 to
That I
G
did
flat,
know.
2-5 to D, and then back to G flat,
And then
back
up a
up.
hat, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what Giant Steps is. It's basically John Coltrane wrote himself in Etude in how to manage this major third harmonic shift.
Yeah.
So this is something that I know Jeffrey Keyser's talked about, but like it's a composition technique.
Wait, Keyser knows this?
Keyser knows everything. It's and this is a common thing. You can move around in major thirds. You can also move around in minor thirds.
Yeah.
There's another way to do this. So if you were in the key of say B, right, you can A flat is an option, and then from there,
Yeah.
that's hey, it's me you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
goes from F to the key of D to the key of B to the key of A flat. It's these symmetrical ways of moving through changes. So that's what giant steps is. So I guess what we're talking about today is, John Coltrane probably saw this problem. Why is the bridge to tunes like Have You Met Miss Jones and other tunes that use this major third movement, why is it so challenging to switch keys? Because it's a drastic change. The key of B major is very different from the key of G major.
Right.
It's very different from the key of E flat. There's some common tones, but not a lot.
No.
It's not like going to the 4 chord.
There's a lot of just intrinsic drama, kind of tonic drama that is built into that. That's super great. Can I just throw one thing in there? Because I'm starting.
Yeah, I can see the wheels turning.
No. You know what's great about this? I think
this is so great to watch you discover this. This is amazing.
There's different ways to learn things. We all know that. But I think this is a great example of this. And because eventually it's not that it's like, oh, you're either thinking about the theory, which when we talk about theory, that's really just the underpinnings, like like if you rip a building apart, what the structure of it that you don't see behind the sheetrock and the paint and the posters or whatever, like what's kind of holding it together, what stays the same, even if there's a remodel where you're like, wow, is this a new building? No, it's like the structure's still there.
Yeah, well, the theory actually is, hey, why does everybody like that building?
Yeah,
what's up with that building?
Yeah, what's worth
it's already built.
Yeah,
it's already great.
Yeah, why are we not tearing it down and building something new? Why are we keeping that? So it's like the theory is that it's not the surface stuff around on the outside probably. But, just like with architecture, there's different ways to explain that. If you look at it from the side, if you look at it from above, like on a drone, if you look at it from the bottom, if you look at the proportions or whatever. And so for me, the way that I've always thought about this tune, as opposed to obviously that, because I didn't know what that, with this major thirds thing, is the movement of the root, right?
Yeah.
And what that shape is, and what those intervals are: minor third, perfect fourth, minor third, perfect fourth.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so that's the pattern, because I think a lot of times theory, we get caught up in like explaining things, which it is very useful for and should be used for. But there's also like just the pattern recognition, which is like the application of the theory to being able to play over it, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you recognizing the patterns as you're playing it, as you're listening to it, after you've heard it, as you're looking at it? There's all different ways to do that. But then how are you going to kind of, get that to the point where you've sort of memorized that it's part of you. Like when we talk about the form of a tune, that's like the biggest sort of pattern recognition. You like you said, Have You Met Miss Jones? What is the root movement? What is there with the pattern? There's the number of bars. That's the simple part of it. It's 8 bars or whatever. But when is it moving? What are the signposts?
It's amazing to hear you talk about this. And I hope it doesn't come across that I'm trying to shame you for not understanding that, because
I feel shame.
I just want to make it very clear. Peter, I've heard you several times just completely shred on this tune way more than I could ever hope to. And it's like, it's just another lesson of like, we probably don't have to overthink these things as much as we think we do, as far as like understanding what it all means or whatever. Understanding the physical embodiment of how, like you said, the big motions and just finding your own way to it. That's what an etude is. I'm sure that's why John Coltrane wrote this, is trying to find his way to it. And he certainly found something with it.
What a cool thing when there's multiple different lenses with which you can look at it. Like there's a prism, and it's like all these different ways. And what we're really talking about is like just that basic theoretical way of explaining the relationships of the harmony. We're not even really talking about rhythm or like the timing of what these,
which is important as well, because it happens very fast.
But I think what it does, maybe, and I don't want to totally commit to this and be dogmatic, but I think it is important to have some kind of theoretical understanding and way into like an entry point.
Well, it makes it
to feeling the tune.
It makes it recreatable, right?
Yeah.
If you understand, this is the major third thing, you can apply similar concepts if you have to deal with it in
Yeah.
other situations. Which I'm sure this is what etudes are.
Yeah.
Etudes, they're problem solving blueprints that musicians write, usually for themselves or for their students, on how to get over a common occurrence. And in this case, it is a fairly common occurrence for a key change to happen in major thirds, in minor thirds, things like that.
Yep.
And how do we, as improvisers, approach that in a smooth way? You mentioned the root movement, the changes, B and then D7 to G and then B flat 7 to E flat. But, listen to the bass line here. Right. And that's something I didn't realize. So this bass line in the head moves down in whole steps.
Yep.
right? It's D over A that they're playing. Then it's G major. Then it's B flat over F, right, with the 5 in the bass. Then E flat. That's something I didn't hear until Jeffrey Keyser made that point in one of our Open Studio videos, right? So there's all this cool thing.
So should we be looking at explaining, theorizing about the chord changes as B major, A minor 6?
Well, that's what Jeffrey Keyser was saying. That's what Jeffrey was saying. Is like, he says, for me, it simplifies it to think about B major and then A minor 7, because A minor Dorian is the same as D7.
Yeah.
It's all the same stuff, right? The 2 is just the 5. And if you do that, first of all, it's not exactly the same maybe as I would do if I were doing B flat 7, but it is an interesting sound. Yeah. Like, it is a sound that works really well and gets you, especially if a bass player is doing like this thing, it gets you a sus sound, right? You can get more of those sort of like suspended sounds, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, I think about, like, I guess because my reference point, and wow, it's so important to, like, what is your original reference point? What do they say? A first impression is so important. You nothing like the first impression. So, because I kind of learned that at least the first part of Coltrane's solo, the first chorus, pretty early on upon like learning this.
Yeah. By the way, this is a very common like transcription. A lot of musicians, again, rite of passage kind of thing. Yeah.
And because that outline's very like. And then, of course, he's not playing the bass line, but you're thinking about that as a pianist. So like, well, what is that exactly that he's playing? Because he's playing continual 16th notes, outlining very specifically.
Yeah. So he's doing 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5.
I believe so. That's how I remember.
Yeah.
So even that, like, it's really cool the way that it's constructed and put together, because it doesn't sound cookie cutter, but on the kind of micro level, it feels boo boo doo beep boo boo boo. I mean, it's like, what? That doesn't sound as hip as. Of course, he gets into a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
But and I think that's to the point of like an etude, and why I would say that this is a great etude is because it forces you to be able to navigate these specific changes, and as we all know, these 3 specific tonic areas.
Yeah. Everybody knows that.
But it also like it forces you to some of the more traditional things that we think about classical etudes doing, say, for a pianist, which is technical stuff, right? So it's like how do you
technical hurdles
how do you play a line, especially fast? Hopefully, you're practicing it slow too. That is over quickly changing, whether you know the chords or not, or like what the relationships are. Like, how do you construct a line, whether you're doing a kind of Coltrane style where it's like you're putting a cohesive line together and you're breathing in between, but it's like just a flurry of notes that go through all the chord changes with like triadic stuff, a lot of like up to the ninths and things like that, but be able to play that without having to just kind of go back to your normal, like, well, this is comfortable, because there's nothing comfortable on this for any instrument. It moves too fast.
It moves too fast.
You can't even be like, because you're already off the chord if you just stay at one note. So like, what would be the most comfortable thing you could do? Maybe.
Yeah. And some context to this as well. This album, Giant Steps, this isn't the only tune where this is an etude. Famously, Countdown is on this album. Also, which is a contrafact of Tune Up.
Yeah.
Which might be a contrafact of something else, actually. Yeah. But Miles Davis's Tune Up is a 2-5 to D, and then a 2-5 to C, and then a 2-5 to B flat. So C minor 7, 7, right? So John Coltrane took that and did the same thing he did with Giant Steps. We're going to move this through that major third. So that E minor 7, that's the key of D. Yeah. Right? That's the 2 in the key of D. Then immediately the F7, 5 in the key of B flat, a major third down. And then
G flat major.
G flat, and then back to D major. And then it does the whole thing down a whole step.
Down a whole step, exact same. Going down in major thirds.
Sorry, that was wrong. Also, on the same album is Central Park West. Wait, no. Naima is on this record, which doesn't go through this major third thing. But Central Park West is another ballad. I think that's from Coltrane.
That's on there too.
Is it on?
I'm not sure.
On Giant Steps? I don't think it is.
Yeah. Central Park West. No, okay, so while you're looking up that, I'll just say this. It's really fun to kind of be able to maybe kind of figure out different ways of looking at this. It's like when you understand why, when you peel back those layers and start to see this and be like, oh, yes, of course this makes sense. It's really can be a revelation in terms of like how you highlight that. You don't have to be like super overt about it or whatever, but like if you're thinking about these different areas that you play, because one thing I've always thought about on this tune is like, you've got to find some kind of entry point to make this tune make sense on more than just a chord by chord level. And I think that's why some people struggle with it, talking about Giant Step still. And that is that Coltrane, he gives the impression that that's the way he's playing.
Yeah.
But he's actually not, like, he understands it so well that he can go through and like kind of compress things in a way that makes you think, wow, he's thinking about each chord as it goes by. He's so far beyond that, you know, that don't get it twisted, as they say.
Central Park West is on Coltrane Sound, which also has the tune Satellite, which is just How High the Moon with Coltrane changes on it as well. So and just to be clear on this too, for Giant Steps and for Countdown and for, I don't know about Central Park West, but he never played those songs live. He never performed them in a concert. No.
Interesting.
This was just a phase he was going through and
Coltrane
getting through.
Etudes.
Yeah, there's no live recordings. Apparently he never performed it in a concert, Giant Steps. Yeah.
Okay.
So that just shows you what he thought of it. He thought of it, I think, more as this artistic statement, this exercise to get him someplace. And then after Coltrane's Sound, the album, he kind of abandoned this whole idea of these harmonic movements in thirds. Like, it was a major part of his development, obviously. He was into it for a couple of years. And then went on to that great quartet. And they didn't really do that stuff.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. You never hear no McCoy Tyner plays Giant Step.
No.
But he could.
I bet he could.
But he killed it.
Yeah. He might have recorded it later, actually.
Right.
I think McCoy did do a version of it.
So speaking of things that might have happened, let's move on to things that must happen.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to say?
I do. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Just as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, just as Peter wakes up not knowing something about Giant Step, yet learns it, we ask that you, our dear listener, no, we don't ask. We used to ask. Now we demand.
Yeah, which is
we don't even demand.
Aggressive.
We're somewhere in between
aggressive.
asking and demand. We expect.
We
deserve.
We deserve. God. Okay.
No, we would like to ask that you. All we're asking is that you hold up your end of the bargain.
What's the bargain, Peter? What do they get in return?
They get this wonderful podcast, and they've gotten to this point, so they got to be educated. They got to be entertained. You know, we do the pod for free. But it's not totally for free. It seems like it's for free because there's no payment in advance. Now's the time to pay. All you got to do is go to YouTube, search You'll Hear It, and then fulfill your part of the agreement, which is to subscribe.
Give a little subscription. Also, go ahead and put in the comment section, agreement adhered to.
Agreement adhered to, which folks have been doing.
I know. It's so great to see.
Yeah. And we apologize. We're important, busy jazz musician. We can't respond to everybody, right? We haven't been. Maybe we should start doing that. But I don't want to be
part
like
of the agreement, though?
But then it doesn't seem like it's required. You know, it's just like anyway, we're doing our part and we appreciate all of you that have done it. The channel's growing. But when you get a chance, please adhere to the agreement, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
You'll hear it.
I'm in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, currently.
I'm in Indianapolis.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Andrew, hi.
Because I feel inspired to play something else from your playing.
Okay, that's great.
I think using the metronome is a great tool, but it's not the only tool.
All of the answers are really in the music.
What does it mean to live in a groove, be in a groove?
Until next time, happy practicing.